Why do pencils even have erasers in the first place? Every pencil tells two stories, one of writing and one of mistakes. But why do pencils even have erasers in the first place? Before erasers, mistakes weren't so easy to fix. Yes, people used breadcrumbs to rub out pencil marks. It worked, sort of, but it was messy and not very reliable. The real revolution came from a strange material, rubber. In 1770, an English engineer named Edward Nairn accidentally discovered rubber could erase pencil marks. It was called India rubber because it came from the Americas and rubbed things out. At first, erasers were sold separately like little blocks you carried around. But then someone had the genius idea, why not attach the eraser to the pencil itself? In 1858, Hyman Lippmann patented the first pencil with an eraser on top. It wasn't perfect, some pencils broke easily, and Lippmann lost his patent battle. But the idea stuck. Soon pencils with erasers became the norm. The eraser itself evolved too. That famous pink eraser, it became popular in the 20th century for its durability. Today we barely think about it, but the pencil eraser is a little marvel of design. It reminds us that mistakes are part of the process, and that every great idea often begins with errors, revisions, and corrections. The pencil eraser is proof. It's okay to be wrong as long as you try again. So the next time you pick up a pencil, remember, the eraser is there to keep you moving forward.
Why are school buses yellow? Every morning, millions of kids climb onto a big, yellow bus. But why yellow? It's not just because yellow looks cheerful. The real reason is all about safety and science. Back in 1939, educators and traffic experts met to decide what's the safest color for school buses. They didn't pick red, blue, or green. They picked a special shade called National School Bus Glossy Yellow. Why? Because yellow is the most noticeable color to the human eye. Studies showed people spot yellow faster than any other color, even in dim light. And yellow has high contrast against black lettering. That makes it easy for other drivers to recognize instantly kids are on board. Even in peripheral vision, the corner of your eye, yellow grabs attention best. The choice wasn't random, it was literally tested by scientists with color experiments. Other colors, like red, are attention-grabbing too, but they can blend into brake lights or traffic signs. Blue and green, pretty, but harder to see at dawn or dusk. So yellow became the universal choice, safety first. It worked so well, the tradition spread worldwide. Now the sight of a yellow bus is a symbol of childhood itself. So next time you see one, remember, it's not just a color, it's science, keeping kids safe. And that's why school buses are yellow.
Why are stop signs red? When you see a stop sign, your brain instantly knows what to do. But why red? Why not blue, green, or purple? In the early 1900s, stop signs weren't red at all. The first stop signs were actually yellow. Why yellow? Because paint technology back then made red signs fade too quickly. Yellow was bright, reflective, and durable. But as traffic got busier, people needed something even more attention-grabbing. Enter the color red, the universal symbol of warning and danger. Humans naturally associate red with urgency. By the 1950s, red stop signs became the global standard. Red was chosen not just for psychology, but also for visibility. Against the gray of asphalt, red practically shouts at drivers. And thanks to new reflective paints, red signs could finally shine at night. That's why red became the final word in road safety. It's not just about stopping cars, it's about commanding attention. Think about it. No other road sign uses that same bold red octagon. That unique shape-color combo makes it instantly recognizable worldwide. So next time you stop at one, you're seeing more than just paint. You're looking at a century of human psychology, engineering, and design. That's why stop signs are red, because nothing else works better.
Why are coins different sizes? Ever notice how coins aren't all the same size? Pennies are small, quarters are big, nickels are somewhere in between. But why? Why not just make them all the same? Back in history, coins weren't just metal tokens. They represented actual value, gold, silver, copper. The bigger the coin, the more valuable it was. Smaller coins, less value. Simple and obvious. Even when coins stopped being made of pure metal, we kept the tradition of size equals value. A dime is actually worth more than a nickel, even though it's smaller. That's because of old silver content. Dimes used to be real silver. Nickels were made bigger just so people wouldn't confuse them. Size also helps people with poor eyesight. You don't even need to look, you can tell by touch. That's why countries make coins all different sizes and edges. In fact, some countries even use holes in the middle. It's not random, it's a design for humans to recognize instantly. So every time you grab some change, remember, the size isn't just tradition. It's history, practicality, and a little bit of human psychology all in your pocket.
Why are bananas curved?
Bananas are one of the world's most popular fruits, sweet, convenient, and curved. But that curve isn't just for looks, it's the result of how bananas grow. Bananas grow in clusters called hands that point toward the ground. At first, bananas grow straight, pulled down by gravity. But bananas don't stay straight. Bananas are phototropic. They bend towards sunlight. As they grow, they start curving away from the ground, reaching for the light. This process is called negative geotropism. Instead of growing with gravity, bananas grow against it. That's why bananas don't hang straight like most fruits. And it's this upward bend that gives bananas their signature curve. It's not about making them easier to peel or fitting better in your hand. It's simply a survival strategy, growing towards sunlight for energy. So the curve is nature's design, not ours. Even if you tried to grow bananas in space, they'd still curve toward the strongest light source. That curve tells a story of light versus gravity. Every bite is shaped by millions of years of adaptation. Bananas are curved because they refuse to fall down.
Why do keyboards have that weird QWERTY layout? Look down at your keyboard for a moment. Chances are it starts with the letters QWERTY on the top row. But why QWERTY? Why not ABCD? To answer that, we need to rewind to the 1800s. Back then, typewriters were the cutting-edge tech. But early typewriters had a huge problem. The keys jammed. If two nearby letters were pressed too quickly, the machine locked up. Inventors needed a solution, and that's where QWERTY was born. They spaced out common letter pairs to slow typists down, just enough to stop jams. Ironically, the keyboard was designed to be inefficient. Other layouts were later invented to be faster and easier. But by then, QWERTY had already won. Typing schools, office jobs, and businesses all standardized on QWERTY. By the time computers arrived, the layout was locked in. Even though faster layouts exist, nobody wanted to relearn typing. So we still use the keyboard designed to slow us down. And the funny part? Most people have no idea their keyboard is a 150-year-old hack. It's not the best layout, it's just the one history left us stuck with.
Why do jeans have tiny pockets? If you've ever owned a pair of jeans, you've probably noticed that tiny, almost useless little pocket. It's too small for your phone, too tight for your wallet, and it swallows coins like a black hole. So why does it even exist? The story begins back in the 1800s during the gold rush era. At the time, jeans weren't a fashion statement. They were durable workwear for miners, cowboys, and laborers. And that little pocket, it wasn't meant for coins at all. It was actually designed to hold a pocket watch. In the 19th century, many men carried pocket watches on chains, but those watches were fragile. If they swung around, they could break. So Levi's jeans added a snug little compartment to keep them safe. This made jeans incredibly practical for workers of the time. Fast forward to today, and hardly anyone carries a pocket watch anymore. Yet the little pocket remains. Over time, people started using it for coins, matches, concert tickets, or even guitar picks. Some even call it a coin pocket, but that's actually not what it was built for. Fashion historians often point out that its design hasn't really changed since 1873. It's one of those quirks of clothing that outlived its original purpose. Now it's more of a style tradition than a functional feature. So next time you notice it, remember, that little pocket once protected 19th century technology. It's proof that even the smallest design choices in everyday objects can hold big history. Why do your fingers wrinkle in water? You've probably noticed this. After a long bath, your fingers look like raisins. For a long time, people thought this was just your skin absorbing water. But here's the twist. It's not waterlogging. Wrinkling is actually controlled by your nervous system. When you're underwater, your body narrows blood vessels in your fingers. That makes the skin pull down, forming wrinkles. But why bother? Why turn your fingers into prunes? Because wrinkly fingers give you better grip in wet conditions. It's like nature gave you built-in rain tires. In fact, studies show people with wrinkly fingers pick up wet objects faster than with smooth fingers. It's an evolutionary trick, handy when our ancestors were foraging in rivers or rain. So the next time you leave the bath looking like a dried prune, remember, you're not falling apart, you're just evolving into Aquaman. Why do onions make you cry? Imagine a vegetable so powerful it can emotionally destroy you in under 30 seconds. That vegetable is the onion, but onions aren't mean, they don't want to hurt you, they just don't trust you. So when you cut them, they release a chemical weapon. Specifically, it's called syn-propanethyl S-oxide, a gas evolved to say, "back off, buddy." When it hits your eyes, your tear glands panic and unleash a flood.
It's not sadness, it's a biological pepper spray. But the real question is, why does the onion even care? Simple, the onion is trying to stop you from eating it. Of course, humans saw this defense mechanism and decided, delicious. We actually bred onions to be more edible, less spicy, more sweet, which only proves that even if a vegetable fights back, humans will find a way to deep fry it. So onions make you cry, not because life is tragic, but because they're losing a war they never asked for.
Why do paper cuts hurt so much? Paper, harmless, right? Just thin sheets for doodles and tax returns. But the moment one sheet slices your finger, it feels like medieval torture. Here's the first reason. Paper cuts usually hit your fingertips. And fingertips, they're packed with nerve endings, way more than your arm or leg. Basically, a paper cut is like shouting directly into your nervous system. Second problem, paper cuts aren't clean cuts. Paper edges are rough, like microscopic chainsaws. So instead of slicing smoothly, paper tears and shreds skin tissue. And that shredded skin, it exposes more nerve endings to air, which explains why the pain lingers way longer than you'd expect. Third factor, paper cuts don't bleed much. No blood means no clot, no quick seal, no protection. So every time you touch anything, keyboard, soap, coins, ouch. In short, paper cuts hurt so much because they're messy, they're shallow, and they hit the most sensitive real estate on your body. Good news is they heal fast. Bad news is you'll never look at office supplies the same way again. So yeah, the paper industry, making trees and humans suffer since forever.